Today I want to talk to you about Zen Buddhism and meditation. And if you are anything like I was for most of my life, skeptical, highly rational, atheist, you might already be turned off, right? I don't want to hear about your religion. I don't want you to proselytize, right? Or even, I don't think meditation does anything. It's just a placebo. Or I tried it and it was useless, right? You might have all sorts of objections. You might also have really preconceived ideas of what Zen is, because that word Zen has been co-opted in the West to mean everything, around chill, attitude, wellness, tranquility. The word Zen has become kind of genericized. And so you might not be aware of the rich tradition of Zen Buddhism, kind of the real form of it. And so what I want to do in this video today is, really I'm just going to be setting up a piece of audio that I'm going to be playing in a minute for you. And that audio I recorded just yesterday, right after returning from a 7-day silent meditation retreat at a Zen monastery. And so it's kind of raw walking outside in the rain. I cleaned up the audio, so hopefully it'll be decipherable. But I just want to set that up for you by saying that my main goal with that piece of audio is to explain to you why meditation, and meditation in the Zen style in particular, is so profoundly important to me. I really consider meditation to be the most important part of my life. And I think when most people hear that, they imagine it's something to do with focus and productivity or creativity or wellness. We hear all these, we hear about all these studies nowadays talking about, MRI scans reveal that the brains of meditators are, more conducive to staying focused in life, and it provides different benefits to sleep and general health, and so we think about it as kind of meditation is, it's kind of a tool for wellness, or I don't know, however you think about it, right? But the way that I've come to see it is, yes, it has all sorts of benefits, tangible benefits, but really the core of it for me is about a much more existential aspect. It's about examining reality. What is the truth of reality? What is the truth of myself? And so if you're someone who's interested in personal growth and self-awareness, to me, meditation is the most impactful tool for really going deep into how does my mind work? Who am I? So that's kind of what you'll hear about. And one last thing I want to say is I'm talking about this experience of retreat, going into a setting, a monastic setting where you're, really being pretty hardcore about meditation. And that's definitely not for everyone. So, you'll hear me excited in this audio talking about how wonderful it is. And I really want to be clear that your experience will vary. Everyone's experience is different. We're all on different paths. And it was by no means easy. Even though I will be talking about all the benefits, it was a profoundly challenging experience, even for me who's been meditating for many years. So, I would recommend retreat to the right person at the right time. I would very much not universally recommend it. It can be a very, very harrowing experience and very difficult. But, no one left. There were dozens of us, and some had much less experience, and they made it through. So, it's not one size fits all, not one easy answer. But I think that's enough preamble. So let's get on with the audio. Thanks for watching. I just returned from a 7-day silent meditation retreat in the Zen tradition. Typically, when I try to relate my experience on retreat, I do so in more technical language, trying to explain the nuances of Buddhism And this time, I just want to try something a bit different. I want to try to explain some of the main insights I reached in more everyday, approachable language. Kind of more through metaphor. Maybe keep it a little lighter and less detailed, just to give you a flavor of why I think retreat like this can be valuable, even if it's challenging. So when I describe retreat and the idea of sitting still, not moving for somewhere around 6 to 10 hours a day, the natural reaction is, that's crazy, right? Why would you do that? And to be clear, it's never that long at once. You never sit down with your eyes closed for 3 hours straight. That would be extremely difficult, even for an experienced meditator. So it's more 6 hours or so in small chunks, usually of 25 minutes at a time. So why do we do this? What is the point of sitting still, doing nothing? Think of it this way. The world is a noisy place, especially the modern world. There's so much going on all the time. Not only the obvious things like notifications on our phones and the speed of technology, but even without that, there's just so much stuff in the world all around us. There's so much movement, so much color, so many objects, so many sounds of different kinds all at once. There's so much happening that it's really hard to focus enough that you can see the truth of reality, the fundamental truth. You know, Buddhism, like all religions or spiritual systems, is concerned with the big questions. Why does all this exist? Why am I alive? What happens after death? Where did we all come from? What is reality made of? How does the universe work? Is there a God? Right? All these big questions. And in Buddhism, those answers are found experientially and personally, especially in Zen. There are different flavors of Buddhism, and Zen in particular emphasizes direct, firsthand, subjective experience. So it's not about reading the answer in the ancient Buddhist sutra books. It's not about listening to what the teacher says or quotes from the Buddha. It's not about just trusting dogma. It's about really checking it out for yourself. What is actually true? It's very much like the scientific method. It's based on observation. You gather data by checking out what is real. What am I? What is this mind? What is consciousness? This is what you go on retreat to figure out. Answers to these kinds of questions. And so, to use an analogy that's, I don't know if analogy is quite the right word because it's partially true, but it's kind of maybe a little embellished for the sake of explanation. Imagine that you were born into a world where loud music was constantly playing. So your entire life was spent hearing this music. Imagine you have never known a world without music. You've never gone a day in your life without this loud music playing in your ears. How then could you possibly know what silence is like? This is essentially why we meditate. The primary focus of meditation is to turn down the volume on that music by sitting still, and specific techniques, of course, have been passed down for 2,500 years. Specific ways of sitting, ways of putting your hands, ways of breathing. Techniques that have worked for generations of Zen Buddhists to quiet the music, to make it easier. And so you sit, and the longer you sit, the more you practice, the more the volume turns down. And then you reach points along this path where you get to certain levels of quiet. And when the music is down, and you finally hear what quiet is like, what silence is like, that's when you can begin to experience more of the truth of reality. It's as if when the music is finally turned down, you're suddenly able to hear the sound of birds singing in the tree right outside your window. And your whole life, you've never realized that birds were there. You've never realized that birds could sing, that their song sounded different from the music that's always playing in your ears. And so suddenly, when the music is down, you have this profound insight. Oh my God, there are birds right there. They've been there the whole time. They've been there my whole life. They've been singing, and I could never hear them. So this is the way in Zen Buddhism of answering these deep questions about the nature of self, the nature of reality, the nature of consciousness. The idea is to investigate for yourself. And again, it's as if this loud music has been playing, or a bright light has been shining in your eyes your whole life, so all you could make out are kind of blurry outlines of things. And finally, the light is turned down, and you can start to see, oh my God, all around me are detailed shapes. I thought they were just blurry color, but they have distinctive shapes. Wow, what are these shapes? That is the purpose of meditation, to concentrate to such a degree that you quiet the mind. The mind that's always chattering, that's always judging things, judging people, judging yourself. This isn't good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm better than other people. This person isn't how they should be. This situation is not how I want it to be. I'm too hot. I'm too cold. I'm in pain. This person did this to me. The mind is constantly chattering with all these messages. So that's why we meditate. That's why we try to quiet the mind, so that when the mind shuts up, when it stops doing all these comparisons and what ifs and I wish this, when it stops doing all that, then we can actually see what is clear consciousness like. What is the true nature of self? Why do I exist? Why does anything exist? In the silence, the answers become apparent. And there's one other huge thing that becomes apparent. That none of us is independent. The thinking mind, when the volume is up, it's so focused on our individual experience, what I want, what's important to me, why I'm better than this other person, or why they're better than me, or they have more than I do. It's very egocentric. And when that quiets down, what is revealed is the vast interconnectedness of everyone, of all things, that we're all in this together. We are all deeply linked. And so Zen is incredibly hopeful. Because in this state, what blossoms is immense compassion and empathy, immense care for all beings, a desire to ease their suffering, to do what you can to be of service to others and to the world. That is the universal experience. So many Zen practitioners over the years have reached that place. And that's what it's really about. That's really the core of Zen. Compassion. Wanting to help others. It's not about, I'm going to attain enlightenment and then fade away and dissolve into heaven, or, whatever you might think about Buddhism. It's not self-centered. It's about, I recognize, wow, I'm in pain, I'm suffering, others are suffering too, and I want to help them. I want to ease their pain. I want to ease my pain, because we're all in this together. And if we work together, if we can all turn down the volume on our chattering minds and see reality for what it is, we will see that reality is interconnectedness, that we're all in this together.